when I was coming up, we had to go outside the city. We had to go travel, go out of town, beat down doors.
Like, this was the first time Bill had ever gone on the set. And he said, "Here comes the token dirt boy." And out of my mouth, I said, "F you."
Fans are asking for positive women and, with family and business. And it's like, that's what we bring to the show. And yet still it's like, oh, she's boring.
It's my real story. This is really who I am. I build myself off a dollar and a dream without a man's help, without a basketball player.
Particularly the patriarchal boxes that white cisgender males have defined for us should be how we define ourselves.
That's what they were saying on the street. I didn't say it. That's what they were saying on the street. The streets, the avenues, and the boulevard.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya on Air. And how do I start each and every single episode? You guessed it, I have another great show for you. I'm excited. But before I tell you about today's guest, I need you to subscribe. Sanya on Air streams across every major streaming platform. If you're watching this Sanya on Air episode on YouTube, not only subscribe, but make sure you hit the little notification bell. That way, every time I upload an all new Sanya on Air celebrity interview unpacking their pivotal milestones and moments, you'll be the first ones to know. So go ahead and hit that notification button and go across every streaming platform and make sure that you subscribe to Sanya on Air. Now, back to today's guest. Now, she's been on Sanya on Air twice. The first time was in the early days of Sanya on Air when I started off as a radio show and a podcast. And she is back today. I have none other than the legendary, iconic, 5-octave voice singing Melba Moore. When I tell you, it is an honor just to have a conversation with this woman who has really left such strong footprints throughout the music industry. And what I really want to do in this conversation with Miss Moore is to give her her flowers. I don't think the music industry really pays their respects to the icons, the legends, the people that really started music for Black folk. I don't think that we give them their flowers. We are in this new space of the transference of the guards, for a better lack of description, where there is an emergence of new artists. And these artists today don't have any idea about the Melba Moores of it all. So this is what this episode will do, is introduce this younger generation to the legendary Miss Melba Moore, and then remind the seasoned grown folks, remind them she ain't done yet. Not at all. So we are going to be talking about her early beginnings, navigating through the music industry. She was also in Broadway plays, television. And if you don't know, by the end of this conversation, you're going to know Miss Melba Moore. So I'm excited. So before I bring Miss Moore into the Sanya on Air studio, let's just hop into some celebrity news. So today I want to talk about Jonathan Majors. He's back in the news. So if you don't know who Jonathan Majors is, go ahead and Google him, but he's appeared in such hit films such as Creed 3 and also Lovecraft Country. They need to bring that series back. Lovecraft Country, loved it. I don't even know why it was canceled. But Jonathan Majors, if you don't recall, back in March of 2023, he was arrested and charged with assaulting his girlfriend. Now, the girlfriend was saying, oh, he beat me up. And Jonathan claimed his innocence all this time. And the court of public opinion, called social media, the judge and jury of them all, they tried and committed Jonathan Majors. But lo and behold, recently, like last night, okay, the police are now filing charges against the ex-girlfriend who claimed that Jonathan beat her up. Lo and behold, she's the one who hurt herself. So wait a minute. So this is what happened this incident happened at 12:40 a.m. in New York City, Midtown. Now, I don't know about you, but if you come from the melanin dopeness households, your grandma or your mother told you the only people outside after midnight are pimps, hoes, and those looking for trouble. So trouble found them. We're not even going to get into the race issue of it all. I'm just going to leave that alone. But what this really says once again is when you put things out there in the public, social media and this whole digital space, it allows people to make up so many opinions about individuals that may not even be true. They form so many opinions before they even go in front of the judge. I'm telling you, social media and this whole digital space is the judge and jury of it all. The Supreme Court, the president, Parliament, the House of Congress. They are the neighborhood mayor. They are it all, okay? So I'm curious to find out. So what happened? The NYPD, what they did was, wait a minute, they issued an iCard. I never heard of this until I started learning about this update of Jonathan Majors. So the NYPD issued an iCard. What that means is if the police were to run across said girlfriend, just run across her by accident, that there is probable cause for her arrest. I don't get it. Either you're going to arrest her or you don't. So the iCard just tells NYPD that there is probable cause to arrest her. So let's assume this happens. Said woman is just walking down 34th Street. And an NYPD officer approaches her because he's like, you look kind of familiar. And he runs her name and it says I probably should arrest you, but I'm not sure. Is that what an iCard means? I don't get it. The privilege of it all. The privilege of it all. Because you cannot be Black in America roaming the streets of this fair land with an iCard. Because when you have skin that looks like mine, it's just guilty. Ain't no probable cause. Ain't no iCard. None of that. It is like a Monopoly game. Go straight to jail. So I am curious to see how this story unfolds. But this is crazy. Once again, I'm not going to get into the race issue of it all. Because people can like who they like. But you gotta have a lot more discernment in choosing who you like. Because another story, it's alleged that he's now booed up with Megan Good for the past few months. That don't even look right to me. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. So why don't we do this? Let's get back to the show and talk about Miss Melba Moore. Let's do that. So, like I told you, I have coming up in just a few short moments, the iconic, the legendary Miss Melba Moore. This is a conversation that I'm going to be leaning into. Just like every celebrity that I bring here on Sanya on air, I'm definitely leaning in. I am a perpetual learner, no matter what spaces that I'm in. If I'm surrounded by greatness, every word that they say is a teachable moment for me. Some lessons I might take, some lessons I might say, let me think about that a little bit more. But she did it right. She did it right. And she's a woman of a particular age who's gone through a few things. I have a lot to learn. So why not continue learning today with the 5-octave singing, the 5-octave singing, because there's a difference between singing and singing. Legendary. And what Miss Melba Moore doesn't know is I was introduced to her, okay, in my head, all when I was in elementary school. I'm going to share that story when Miss Moore joins us. So why don't we just bring in the legendary, iconic singer, Miss Melba. Hi, Miss Moore.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sweetie.
How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Let me tell you why I'm blessed today.
Please
Because
tell me.
I'm in your space having a conversation with you.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
that's me.
Let me tell you, anytime I can tap into someone who was instrumental in my life, it is an honor and it is a blessing.
Oh, great.
So let's just jump right into it, because I really want the purpose of this conversation to introduce you to a new generation and to remind my generation of all the wonderful and amazing things that you have done throughout the years. So let's just start with your early years as a music teacher in Newark, New Jersey. Talk about that.
Oh, that was amazing. I did not want to teach. My natural father was a big band leader, very well known by the name of Teddy Hill. My mother they did not marry, but my mother was a professional singer. So my point is, it was in my genes, it was in my DNA. But then she married a piano player from Newark, New Jersey. So now I have a father, but he had a son and a daughter. So now instead of being just a disjointed, discombobulated, and your families broke up before you even start.
Yeah.
Now I got a sister, a brother. We had 2 more brothers later. I had cousins, and I had a family. That's very important. But because mother and daddy worked together as a professional group, my mother was my stepdad's lead singer in his group. And so because they were musicians, they wanted all of us to have a good education and perhaps be teachers. So that was the inspiration for that. And they want us to have real jobs. So I studied piano along with my sister and brother. I became intimately acquainted with an instrument. Also, before that, I was 9 years old when my mother met and married my stepdad. So when you're the instrument, you usually know you can sing by the time you're 3 or 4 years old. But there was no music in my life, none. So none. No family, lots of abuse and terrible things that happen when a man is not in the house to protect you, especially when you're a little girl. But now I have this incredible gentleman. His name was Clement Moorman, which is where I took the name Moore.
Okay.
My name was Smith.
Really?
But I loved him so much. And the way he treated my mother and us and made us the family. I remember I started my life on the streets. We're in New York City, so you play on the streets and whatever. And, if you're a girl and you're raised like I was, you get kind of rough already when you start out.
Yeah.
I was so glad to have a brother because I could fight him,
Yes.
But my father, Clement, said, Melba, and he looked me in my eye. And the first grown man I ever heard looked me in my eye and looked with the love and concern and said, Melba, you can't fight anymore. You have to learn how to communicate. And made me part. I have a sister. My sister and I are so close. She's my stepsister, but she's my sister. I don't know nothing about step no more. You know what I'm saying? I learned family. But he wanted us to be teachers. My brother who's passed away was a great pianist, but he was also a teacher. My sister just retired a couple of years ago from public school teaching. She taught elementary schools, which meant she taught generally, but her field was history. Teacher, and as I became a music teacher because I don't know nothing about music. So I learned that and learned how to teach it, and because Daddy and Mother said so, I taught school, and I want to say that I absolutely adored teaching. I became another person. It's like becoming an actor in a play. When you get in front of the children and you see them look at you and you have your teacher's plan and taught everything how to do, and you're there, it transforms you.
Yeah, it does. I can definitely agree and relate. As I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so many similarities. I too started off my early career in education. I'm still in education as a director of many high schools, but started off as a classroom teacher, a special education teacher. Very, very transformative for my life and as a way to give back to my community. But do you find that teaching back then and teaching now are two different worlds?
But I knew this was coming.
How?
Because, well, first of all, I started out my education in Catholic school, and they could hit you, you know, and you learn the Ten Commandments, and you learn the Catechism, and it is very, very, very strict.
Mhm.
And then when I came to Newark, I went to public schools.
Different.
Hugely different. And what I saw as I taught there, I taught about maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe less, was especially, of course, in junior high school, when the kids are starting going to puberty and the hormones take over, and you might as well be teaching in the jail.
Yes.
And you are the prisoner, not them.
Tell me about it. Tell me, Miss Moore, I work with high school students, and every night before I go to sleep, I have to go for a therapy reflection walk. Just to unpack the day and recalibrate and show up brand new and refreshed the next day. But I started off working in prison, so it prepared me to work
It's
with.
similar. Unfortunately, what I saw happening, especially perhaps because I know it was because I was a music teacher, the principal on down did not respect that category.
Yeah.
They don't know the value of it, the power of it.
No.
And so I saw a lot of different instances where the top down did not respect the school system.
Yeah.
And so as I went on, and especially taught in junior high school, I could see how the breakdown of that would deteriorate the school system over the years. And that's what's happened. You have to have armed guards in there now.
Yeah. Yeah. The way that our students are lined up outside of the building just to get through scanning, it's like the pipeline to the prison system because...
Well, first of all, you're saying scanning because the people who ran that system have let it deteriorate to that point and have been so selfish, the Board of Education and people, about their desires and their needs. They have not taken care of the students. They haven't. Yeah. So the system is gone. So it's not safe for anyone.
No, it's not. It's really not. So you had a history experience as a teacher in Newark, New Jersey, but then something happened where you landed on Broadway.
Oh, yeah, well, what happened was I didn't want to be a teacher, right?
Get somebody
so
else.
I'm just saying, as being a part of the system, I could see what was coming down the road. That's not why I left. Okay. I really had a strong desire to try to be a performer. And so I went to my stepdad or my dad and I said, well, I'm teaching because you've told me to teach, or you want me to teach, and I'm very good at it and I love it. But I'm going to try to be an entertainer. I want to try to be a performer like you and mother. You're having so much fun.
Right, right.
So I asked my dad to take me around to some of his agents and people to get me into the industry. And to make a longer story, a little bit shorter, one of the first people we ran into taking a meeting with somebody and we were all in kind of the reception area was Valerie Simpson. We're all kind of trying to make meetings, trying to do things. Yeah. And so we exchanged numbers and she got me involved with studio backup singing. So that was my entree into show business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The right place at the right time with the right person.
That's my story.
And you were ready. And you were ready. Let me tell you about another impact that you made on my life, just talking about your segue into Broadway. So I was a young tenderoni in elementary school, and I had an amazing music teacher by the name of Paula Holmes, rest in power. And she would have us put on these huge Broadway productions, and the first song that we ever sang was from Pearlie. And I had no idea who Melba Moore was, but she wanted to make sure that the lyrics resonated with us, that we knew who Melba Moore was. So she gave us this whole history lesson, so that when we sang such words as "I ain't never seen a man do the things that man can, my pearly," like we knew exactly what we were singing because she told us about you. So in elementary school, that was when I first learned about you, Miss Melba Moore. And once again, that's why I'm honored to have you in front of me for the second time on Sanya on Air. Talk about just your entire experience on Broadway.
Well, before I do that, that's the same thing I used to do in the classrooms. Whatever the music was on the radio, or what was that, we used that for example, so that we could have something to start to relate to. But okay, well, the first opportunity I had on Broadway came because of a recording session that I was doing along with Nick and Val and a whole bunch of other background singers for Galt McDermott, who wrote the music for the Broadway show Hair. And they were still casting. So they were still looking for strong Black singers for this parody that they were going to do on the Supremes. That was the main feature thing that they were still casting for. So when the date was finished, they invited all of us to come and sing for the director and the producer. Nobody else on the date wanted to do that, so I did. So I got on Broadway. I got into my first Broadway show, which was Hair. But before I left the show, because I stayed in it for almost 2 years, was it longer than that? Maybe almost 3 years. They kept changing the lead, and one of the girls in the chorus was a Black girl. She said, "Well, how come I thought this was free love and freedom and equity, and everything's, you don't have to be pushed back because you're Black." She said, "How come a Black girl can't do the female lead?" And I said, "Well, as white people," they said, "we didn't think of it."
Yeah.
So they let me try out for it, and they rehearsed before the matinees. But the person I wound up replacing was Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton, yes.
But that's how it happened.
Wow. So you were actually the first African-American actress in a Broadway production to take over a leading role previously held by a white woman, Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
Have you fully accepted the magnitude of that first milestone?
No. That's why I'm telling the story like it is. First of all, you can see by how it happened. I don't know how theater works. I don't know. I'll tell you the next one. After I've been doing that for a long time, that same big mouth Black girl said, "Mel, we've been doing the show 3 years. You need to start going, learn how to audition, because you really didn't audition for this." And she told me how you audition, and she told me they were having auditions for this new Black Broadway show. And she told me where to get a script and everything. And also, she said, "Don't worry about trying to get the role. Just, you need to learn how to audition. You don't even know how to audition." So I was trying to learn how to audition, but I got the part. But that was the play Pearlie.
Wow.
But the reason I had the ability to play that little country girl was because that's who I was raised by, because my mother was a single parent. She was gone all the time. So the person who raised me was illiterate. She was orphaned. She didn't know who her parents were. And she somehow came up north from North Carolina with some family that she worked with. So that's really kind of who I was, just country and a broken family.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Well, this is how you do it." So I said, "Okay, I'll try it."
But coming from that, like you said, a broken family, being raised by someone from the South who was illiterate, how were you still strong enough to navigate through Broadway in such a time when there weren't really comfortable spaces for people like us?
Because I was raised by an orphan sharecropper. They didn't never know nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, and we'd be scared of everything anyway, but we go anyway.
That speaks to the strength of where we came from.
That's who we are.
Yes. And, I was having a conversation with a woman today and just talking about being in the valley. And oftentimes our experiences sometimes is in the valley. There's no way up there's no other way but up for us, because we come from the fight. We come from winning. We come from navigating through struggles. And that's why I wanted to address that.
Another word for it is grassroots. It's the root of everything. So you may be scared, but you're not really uncomfortable because you know that's natural, supernatural. It's the essence of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not know all. I mean, I can articulate it now. I've had an education. I've been on Broadway. I have interviews. I can say it now. But you are it.
That really resonated. You are it. Yeah, because sometimes people are still trying to figure it out. They are listening to other people without understanding, just like you said, you are it. I like that.
You have to keep trying to figure it out because God is always doing something new. But it's wonderful to be able to sit here and say to people, you are it. And you know what I'm saying is true. You know, if we're not talking about anything specific, we're talking about your culture, your heritage, if you're a Black person. But of course, it doesn't matter what race you are. Whatever it is, you are it.
You are it. You are enough.
Yeah.
I love that. So navigating through Broadway, and then you land on television. Now, a family member told me to tell you this because I was still a baby at that time. So I really don't have any recollection. Like I said, my first introduction to you was when I was in elementary school in the 80s. But my older aunt, she told me, she said, tell Miss Moore that while everyone was racing to the television to watch Sonny and Cher, we had Melba Moore and Clifton Davis. How did you land on television?
We were the Black Sonny and Cher.
How did you land on television?
I have to say thank you to Miss Carol Burnett.
Wow, another icon. How did that happen with Carol Burnett?
She gave us, well, I'm trying to think. There were some agents who came to see the show. I'm trying to think. I don't think I had an agent yet. I might have had, I can't remember all the details. But I was also romantically involved with Clifton Davis at the time.
Ooh.
And he was, I'll tell you what was happening on Broadway at that time. He was down the road in the chorus of Hello Dolly, which was then starring Miss Pearl Bailey, and her leading man was Cab Calloway, and one of the ingenue parts was Chris Calloway, Cab's daughter. Anyway, that was an incredible time. And Clifton and I were dating, and Clifton left Hello Dolly to get his first male lead role in a musical called Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Okay.
Which was kind of a remake of a Shakespeare story. But so we were already the Black Sonny and Cher. We were the love interest. And the offer was made to both of us to do the summer replacement. I guess they made the arrangement with Carol Burnett. That happened. I'm trying to remember or understand how all of this happened. And so we got it as a replacement TV show. And that's how that happened. But then, you know, they brought the writers and you know, created the whole, the CBS did the whole concept of the show. I don't know whose idea of it was. I know a big song was called Up on the Roof. So we did our performances on the roof. I guess that was, first of all, that was very colored, you know.
But, you know, as you're mentioning your relationship with Clifton Davis, I'm like, you know what? So Beyonce and Jay-Z was not the first one. It was Melba Moore and Clifton Davis. How about that? So once again, in a space on television where we didn't see too many people like us.
Right.
How did you still have the strength to say, I'm going to keep moving forward and answering God's assignments for my next assignment?
I don't think I knew so much that it was God then, but my parents were entertainers. This is what I saw around me all the time. I mean, people like Sarah Vaughan came to my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I met Ella Fitzgerald in the airport one day. She said hello to me.
I would have fanned out. I would have fainted.
I did. I mean, I didn't pass out, but so these were our daydreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so,
see how you talk about people that you've met,
right,
and you fanned out. That's how I feel about you.
Right. Have you ever heard the song that I do called Lean on Me?
Of course.
You know where I got that from?
Where?
Miss Aretha Franklin.
Another icon.
I couldn't stand to watch her without screaming until I got hoarse. So if I had a show to do, I wouldn't go see Miss Aretha.
Wow. So talking about, you mentioned like Carol Burnett, Clifton Davis, Aretha Franklin. Like, I would say, like, who was the number one person that you wished to meet that you did meet?
I met everybody.
Name them. Name some of them. Name some more.
Oh gosh. I met, well, people that was, kind of scary. People like Frank Sinatra. I mean, big stars, I'm trying to think. Because people I love, like Lou Rawls and Nancy Wilson and Cicely Tyson.
Wow. Icons.
Oh, just so many people.
So can I ask you a question? Just talking about the relationships between people of color in the industry back then. Do you think there was sort of like a camaraderie back then that we don't find today?
I don't know that we don't find it today. I think we do.
Okay.
I do.
You think it's different in any way, though?
I'm sure it is because it's 50 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
We got you young people come along. Y'all don't even know what that was like.
I know. That's why I'm asking you, like, mention all of these names, because to me, it's just in theory, who I saw on television, who I heard my parents listening to. I love to sit down and hear these type of stories because I feel like I was there.
But do you in your field meet a lot of different well-known people?
I'm sorry, say that again?
In your field of journalism, do you meet a lot of people?
Yes, I do.
So think about it like that.
Yeah. And every time I meet someone, it's a teachable moment for me. I'm always leaning in. I want to learn. I'm a perpetual learner.
Right. Each person.
Yeah. So who was the one person that you met that you learned the most from?
You can't.
You can?
Well, I could.
Okay. Who?
I said, oh, you can't. Oh, yeah, you could.
Who is that?
One person might be Pastor Shirley Caesar.
Wow. I got greens, beans, potatoes, hams, and you name it. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a good example, but because she's a sacred artist, but she's in all the world. Like when we did, what is it, Temptation? The movie?
The fighting
Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was having really, really, really difficult times, and I didn't know that I was saved, and I was in the church all the time, but trying to sing, but I didn't have no songs. So one of the people I met was Shirley Murdoch, who wrote some music for me so I could do a gospel album, and she did it. You have to listen to it. This song is incredible. We both sounded. She wrote it for me, and she can sing anything. She didn't sing over me or anything like that. She wrote it for me, and then she put her song, and she sang back up for me. Good, those experiences, But Pastor Shirley and I would visit a lot of different churches, and it was during a time when I lost everything. So she would just be there with me, helping me to navigate the church world because she knew I was saved, first of all. And I wasn't a gospel singer, so I didn't have no songs. But we related on a Christian level.
Right.
And as two fellow artists and two black women. So I remember when Miss Oprah had this big party for everybody at her house. We were in one of the parts of her mansion.
Well, you said Oprah?
Miss Oprah, yes, Oprah.
Okay.
And we were in one place. I said, oh my God, there's Tina Turner all over there. And someone said, Melba, and it was Diana Ross. I said, oh my God. And then Pastor said, Melba, who's that over there? She's one of them secular singers. Who's that? I said, Pastor, that's Mary J. Blige.
Ooh. To be in that room, I can only imagine the energy.
And she spoke to me like that, but because we were friends. She just whispered to me, who's that over there?
Wow.
I think that's incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible. But what was the biggest lesson that Pastor Shirley Caesar left you with?
I'm not sure I pick out one thing. It's just how she was.
Just how she was, and that taught you how to be.
She's very like, and I worked a lot of different things with her, different community events, church types of things, films and stuff. She's very grassroots country.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you present yourself before God. If it's the way you dress or whatever, you know. She said, "No, but look at that, look, you know."
Right.
No, that ain't right.
You know, Miss Moore, I got a little distracted because I grew up in a household where my parents always had pictures on the walls, and the pictures told the story of my lineage. What are the pictures behind you?
Oh, okay. The top one is a picture of me and Ted Kennedy.
Wow.
This is Charlton Heston, the man who played Moses.
Yes.
This is Bob Dole. He was a senator.
Wow. On your walls.
On my walls. Over here, these are some record executives down here.
Uh-huh.
This is Bobby Brown. That's Debbie Allen. That's Dionne Warwick. And we're rehearsing to do Lift Every Voice and Sing, the whole, the version that we do with all the different artists on it. And this right here is Bette Midler looking down on me saying hello.
Wow.
And I got lots more.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You don't walk into households nowadays where there's pictures of your experiences lining the walls. I got that from my parents, and I've continued that legacy. Like my daughter and I, we take pictures all the time because we want to look back on those moments. But I kind of want to moonwalk back a little bit because you mentioned briefly the moment that you lost it all.
Yes.
Talk about that. When did you lose it all, and what was the reason behind losing it all?
Well, my then husband, I didn't realize was a white collar criminal. And one of the things that had happened was that I found a document which revealed that he had someone forge my signature on a divorce agreement. And he had divorced me for the purpose of taking all of our assets.
Oh, wow.
And when I confronted him, well, then everything hit the fan and fell apart. And eventually I countersued for a proper divorce because there was no mention that we had a child.
Mm.
And then everything really went downhill. I became homeless and I lost my child. My husband was my manager. He's the reason I have all these hit records, even now. It's genius at that. And so I had to, start all over again and get my life back. And what happened was I met a gentleman by the name of Michael Matthews, who had called me just before all of that manifested and fell apart. He invited me out on the road to do probably one of the first gospel plays. And I was saved. That had happened. And so when I went out there on the road, it was just amazing. First of all, it was a real gospel. Everybody was saved. There's a lot of things I could tell you about it, but I was devastated. I was just beaten. I wasn't angry or anything. I was just kind of numb.
Right.
You don't really know what's happened to you. You don't even have a conversation about it. You do the best you can to keep going from step to step.
Mm.
But Michael Matthews, he paid me $5,000 in cash after every Sunday matinee, and I didn't even have a bank account.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So my dear friends, my little gospel church friends on the road showed me how to do my business at the post office.
Mm-hmm.
Get money orders and because that's less cash.
Mm-hmm.
We paid it from the box office. A lot of it was singles,
Mm-hmm.
So big paper bags full of cash.
Like a stripper with the dollars.
Either like that or like Pastor Caesar. So I began my life all over again. I paid people to try to find out where my daughter was. Eventually I got her back, and that was the beginning. Really, I have a great following now in the church world.
Yeah.
I have some gospel albums and everything, one thing everybody knows is Melba Moore is saved.
Yes. We know that Melba Moore is saved, but we also know that you are not a singer, but you are a singer, child. You are a singer. Talk the first time that you were in a recording studio. Talk about that.
Oh, probably the first time was singing back up behind my mother.
Behind your mother? Wow.
She was a professional singer. She was a recording artist.
Uh-huh.
So I don't even know this. I never sang on any of her hits, but you said the first time in a studio.
So singing background for your mother. Uh-huh.
Okay. Let me start here. Did I mention that one of the first people I met when I was in the industry was Valerie Simpson?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Well, she ushered me into the recording studios for the first time as a professional singer.
Wow. Did you feel that you were ready at that time?
Absolutely. I had taught people how to do that. Shoot.
Yes.
I was a school teacher, and music was the centerpiece of our family. So absolutely, I could have done that the rest of my life. But one of the recording sessions turned into going up for presentation. It wasn't really an audition for my first Broadway show, which was Hair.
Right.
But I enjoyed backup singing so much.
Better than being the lead singer or the solo singer?
Well, I didn't do that until later.
Yeah, but when you start tapping into being a solo singer, did you
prefer? Oh, I wasn't gonna go back.
Okay. That's right.
That's all right for what it was.
But I'm glad that you emerged from being a background singer to being the iconic lead Melba Moore singer that we know today, because the songs that you have put out into the universe are amazing. One of my favorite all-time songs is with your duet with Freddie Jackson. Talk another iconic singer, not a singer. Talk about working with the legendary Freddie Jackson.
Well, once again, my husband, my ex-husband, was our manager, and he had formed a relationship with Kashif. And Kashif knew all of these songwriters and performers and producers. And among them was Paul Lawrence and Kashif. One of them was also Freddie Jackson. Mm. And so on our recording sessions, Freddie used to sing some backup. And I heard that voice. I said, ooh, look there. So maybe he should come out on the road with me as a backup singer. Then when we got on the road, I would feature him in the middle of my show. And the first song he sang was Good Morning Heartaches. I said, okay. After I heard him sing that, everybody just went cuckoo for Cocoa Pops.
I didn't know that he started back up with you.
Yeah. So then I would say to the audience, I'll say, okay, before I bring him out here, I'm going to tell you who he is, and he's going to be a star. Because I know once he starts singing, you're not going to hear nothing because you're going to be hollering and hooping all over him.
Right.
And so that's how I introduced Freddie. And my then husband and our company got him his first recording situation. I think it was with Capitol Records, and launched him as a star. And then I became his mentor.
Nice. You know, I'm going to frame this because I want people to really understand what you just said, because having social capital is so important. Having a strong network of people with similar interests so they can take you to the next step is so important, because other nationalities, they do it. They, pull up their nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. And we have to make sure that we are surrounded by the right type of people with similar interests to take us where we need to go, because we are already enough. So we can show up in spaces. But
you have to tell African American people that, especially younger people, because they don't realize that the family is still broken. All the other nationalities didn't come here as slaves. They didn't have their family line broken. So they know to pass it on or pass it around. So we have to remind each other, we are family now. We've been mended. And this is who we are and what we have. So that we can have a network, first of all, and so that we can have a future.
Yes. Yes. Well, talking about the future or this current space of music, are there any current artists that you listen to and you like?
I don't have time to listen to people. I'm so busy doing my stuff, but there's so much talent. It is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
It's marvelous, all
Mhm.
kinds. And we're being taught we should be in charge of ourselves and our business. And business starts when you're 5 years old.
How at 5 years old? Talk about that.
Get a paper route or clean the house and you get paid by your parents.
Okay. I remember when my daughter was 3 and I told her, I don't care what you do. You better sing a song, tap dance, write a book, something. But I want you to own and lead your future.
We know to do that now. So
Yes. Oh my gosh. But fast forward, you just released your 33rd album titled Imagine. And your daughter, she's the one who brought the idea to you to reinvent yourself. Sometimes when you reinvent yourself, there's a little fear. Were you fearful of reinventing yourself and creating new music for the world?
I don't think that's what's there. I think what's there is ignorance. Because you ain't got a mirror, you can't even see yourself. You need to have other people's perspective. And God tells you, I'm doing something new. So you need to know what they feel or think. But you wouldn't even know to do that.
Right.
Someone says, Ma, listen to this. I said, okay, yeah, it's great, wonderful. So I think I should do that. I said, you think I should do that? Of course, she's been raised with us in the industry, but she's done a lot of different things, but she's never worked with me as a record executive person in this. So I didn't really know what she knows.
Right.
She's just been my baby,
Right. So how was it working with your daughter?
Incredible. I said, wow, you see me singing this? That's how it is.
Wow.
She sees beauties and strengths and stuff that I have no clue that I have.
Yeah.
Just like I see her.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she's a very, what can I say? Maybe she's like me. I don't know. She's a very caring and she's visionary too, but you have to kind of pull it out of her. She don't put her opinion on you or anything. And maybe she's respectful of adults. So she would come in. So, if she see me do something that she don't even like, she might say, well, I don't like that one. But she would never affront me or cost me or hurt me in any way. And so when she tells me something, not only do I know that she's thought it through, but she loves me so much. She don't want to see me hurt by something. And she would try to be as smart about it as possible, not so she could prove to me that she's smart, but so that when I heard it, I could use my expertise and we could talk about it and see what did each other hear and see.
Yeah.
I think it's fabulous. It's a whole new, if I could have this relationship with somebody new that I brought and we could be as open with each other and start on such a caring level, I don't think there would be any fear. Because she's, told me everything she thought about how each song should be done and how it's going to be paid for and how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to go on with my own life and how she's going to do her life. This is not even a job to her. This is what she want to throw my way. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. She doesn't really know what her profession is, to call it. So as she puts this together, I'm saying, okay, well, you're the executive producer. That's what you call it.
Right. But did you allow her to really lead that entire experience and you became the learner?
Yes. First of all, because I didn't depend on it for anything. Everything that I do is still intact. So if I don't feel like doing it, something happens and she walks away, there's no risk.
Right.
So everything that we're doing is because we thought about it. Yeah, we want to do it each step of the way.
Right. I like that. But I want to go back to relationships for a moment. You're still married?
No. But we're still a family. That's something God creates. So,
okay, navigating relationships as an older woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, as a person in the world, sometimes you don't agree with different people, but you have something that you should work with or work on.
So at your age, what is a non-negotiable when it comes to relationships with men?
I don't know, because I don't have none.
Me either, Melba. Me either. I thought you was going to tell me something. I'm trying. Are you open to get married again?
I have no clue.
Really?
No, because I mean, I've been lonely, but I'm not lonely. I think even if you're with somebody, you're going to be lonely.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say you're just not alone. There's a difference between being lonely and being alone.
I know. I'm not describing it properly. And but my daughter's not married, but I want that for her. I want her to have that experience in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have children, I would like her to have that experience.
But let's say a man came your way.
And that kind of loneliness, I know that's different.
Yeah, that's different. But let's just assume a man did come your way and he was saying all the right things and he just presented well and he asked you for your hand in marriage. Would you be open?
If he said all the right things? Because I would know by what I thought and how I lived, if that was good or not. Sure, I would, yeah. I don't have anything against it. I don't have the experience to draw from.
I hear you. I'm trying to keep hope alive too, Ms. Moore. And my parents, they were married for 50 years. So I use that, as a testimony that, love is definitely possible. I'm still open to it. Oh, yeah. But I look at, older women such as yourself, and I like I said, I'm a perpetual learner, and whatever advice you can give me, especially in this dating space, because it's crazy.
If you're going to date, that's another whole set of parameters. Yes, it means you're already putting yourself in a position of a possibility of sharing your life with something you're considering that.
True.
So you have to know that. Maybe you have certain feelings and you haven't really organized it yet. But if that's what you really think you want to do, I think you should think about it and see what would your parameters be. And I couldn't tell you that. You should do that.
Yeah, I've thought about those things, but at this age, the number of eligible men, it's very limited.
That's always the case, but also these are different times.
Yeah.
And the family structure is different. So I wouldn't close the door.
No, I'm definitely, embracing the possibilities and saying if it comes my way, I'm open to it. And as you mentioned before, I'm ready.
But I think when you say you're ready, you have to think about what is the family structure these days and who are you potentially partnering with and what is their idea of what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I envision something very non-traditional. Okay. And it's going to take someone who agrees with being non-traditional. And what I mean by non-traditional, I don't mean like the Jada and Will Smith type of it all. Not that.
I don't know what they do, so tell me.
Well, they have an open marriage.
Oh, well, I remember what that was. No.
and Jada Pinkett Smith is now, she released a tell-all book, and she's saying that her and Will Smith have been separated since 2016.
That's not a relationship. That's a movie for publicity.
I said the same thing because she has a new book coming out and all of these secrets that she's dropping. I'm like, whoever her publicist is, they are just trying to generate sales. That's it.
No. No, we're talking about relationships.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that the way the society has been splintered and divided and we're going through so many transitions and transformations, you would have to sit down over some time and assess what you really believe in right now and what you think a man should if he were to, appealing to you. Just kind of think those through and then consult some different people who are really in that age range and have some experiences to draw on about how things are going now. Mm-hmm. So it's not just your opinion, your feeling.
Yeah. I'm going to take that advice.
And pursue that and see what's going on around you. See what it's made up of now. I think I've done that, and that's why I'm succeeding at what I'm doing.
Right. Right. I'm going to lean into that, and I'm going to try it. I'm definitely going to try it.
I think the family and the relationships are so wonderful. They are, even with all the terrible things that can happen. I do.
Yeah. That's so true.
I have a relationship with my ex-husband.
Good.
But that's because I'm a Christian and he's become saved on his own.
Mm.
And so now whatever we bring to the table, it has to meet God's opinion.
Right.
And we go like this, because that's no. I don't belong to you no more. I'm not interested in your opinions. What did God say?
I'm gonna use that. What did God say?
I know what God said now. So when you tell me something, I know if that's your opinion or not.
Right. I love it. And that's the wisdom that I aspire to achieve.
Yes. And those are things you can kind of say, you can question and see, oh, well, where am I? You got to navigate where you are. You got to find out who you are now.
Yeah. So true.
And that's all part of it,
So true. Do you and your daughter sit down and talk about relationships?
Absolutely.
Yeah, my daughter and we do as well. My daughter's 28. How old is your daughter?
She's 40.
Really? Wow. Yeah. So you two are having real, authentic, transparent type of conversations.
Yeah. Because we've been damaged so much, and so has my ex-husband. Probably the most damage he did was to himself. Now it's our job to help him mend.
Yeah.
We could only think like that because we're born again Christians. And all of those different, very subtle details that go into that, and loving the way God says you're supposed to love.
Yes. When you wake up, do you start each morning with a prayer?
No, a whole series of prayers before I open my eyes. And the ministers come on, I just put the tape recorder on, because in case I fall asleep. And then I got some people, because I'm Catholic, and we invoke our angels. I know who they are, the seraphims, the cherubim, the thrones, the dominions. I know who they are. Bring them in there first. And now I'm getting to the point where they're starting to blossom and expand into things, not to just that basic prayer, but you got to grow in knowledge and wisdom and everything, the things of God. So it's tailor-made for you, but they're still my God. So I remember, because you can't see them or touch them or anything.
Right.
That's the real reality that we have to conform to.
Yeah.
So that's my what do you call it? My job, my routine, and how I spend the first several hours of beginning of my day.
Yeah.
So that's why I still have a career. But that's my job.
Right. I love it. I started this day as well. Once I got into the office, I closed my door and I told my assistant, I said, you know what? We're going to turn on some gospel music and we're going to praise him for as long as it takes. And then we're going to start our day.
First of all, then you two are on one accord. Go ahead.
Yeah. We are on one accord. And I pray over my space. My father, he's also a chaplain. My mother, God rest her soul, she was a deaconess. So all of that spirituality, they've instilled it in me. So now it is my responsibility to share it with the world. And
that it's all of our responsibility. But if we don't know it, we're stripped of our very security.
Yeah.
Much less our responsibility.
Yes. So I'm assuming that you go to church every Sunday?
No, I go every day.
Ooh.
We're Catholic.
Oh, yeah. I'm in church all the time. and standing up and standing down every 5 minutes.
I take communion. I go to confession.
Oh, my. Are you a deaconess or no? Well, you're in the Catholic Church, so they don't have.
No, they have them, but I travel, so I can't do that.
Okay. I
have to be, minister on the road.
Right.
I'm what you call an apostle. We're sent.
I hear you. So, I feel that a lot of my success is attributed to, because I made a promise to God. I will never deny your name. No matter whatever space.
He said, right? If you acknowledge me, I'll acknowledge you. So you can't lose.
Yes. So this is why, especially coming from a school system now involved in media, these type of conversations aren't always welcomed.
Right.
But I like to spark the conversations just to see, am I in the space of like-minded individuals?
Right. You need to find out where you are.
Yes.
Because,
I am.
because it's war.
Yes, it is. It is. I feel the spiritual warfare on a daily basis. And this is why at the end of every day, I have to do a therapy self-reflection walk where I'm talking to God. Sometimes I don't even talk. I just listen and say, okay, I'm just listening to you, God. I'm here. I'm ready. So every night faithfully, that's how I end my day.
You sound kind of radical.
I am. I am. I was talking to my daughter. I've accepted that I am a disruptor.
Okay.
I believe that that's what God purposed me to do, to disrupt spaces that aren't in alignment with.
This is a season, and we Catholics know, because that's the first denomination of Christianity, and it's the one that Jesus started. That's why there's all these physical reminders of what he did in Israel. And of course, Israel was the synagogue was first. But I forgot what I was going to say. But I forgot what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. But switching topics,
okay.
I was so pleased to see you getting your flowers when you received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I was even more pleased to know that Cat Williams had a lot to do with that. Talk about that.
Well, the whole process was very amazing. And then, of course, let's talk about Cat Williams. I met him for the first time there at the presentation. And I really didn't know what to say to him. I mean, of course, I said thank you and all that, but I wanted to see what is this, what he is. He's like a Holy Ghost person. That's what he is.
And a lot of people wouldn't even think that.
No, he won't let you know that. He doesn't, I found out and everything. And we were very strictly, come in and not to say a lot about it. Well, especially at first. Then at a certain point, my partner, Ron Richardson, put it out on our site once he said it was okay. Because we wanted to say thank you, and we wanted to get to know Mr. Williams. Mm-hmm. Because this is a very, 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 very special person who will do things like this. And apparently, he does it all the time.
Yes, he does. He does.
Mm-hmm. So it's not that I'm trying to get to be bosom buddies with him, but I was really curious. I said, well, gee, who is this? And, all my life and all my career with all the traumas I've had people come to my aid and help me and do things. I was saying that I went out on the road to my first gospel play with Michael Matthews. And at the time that happened, I was already homeless. And I'd lost my daughter and everything from that. And this gentleman, Michael, at the end of the first week, paid me $5,000 in cash, and I didn't even have a bank account.
Right.
So I know there's people like that.
Wow. Yeah, there are, unsung heroes and angels out there that will step in and provide when we need it the most. So you didn't even reach out to Cat Williams to ask him for his help. He did that on his own?
I think my partner, my
Ron Richardson,
discovered him or knew who he was and found him.
So talk about that day when you received the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and you had people speaking about all of your amazing work in the entertainment industry. I saw Lunel. She spoke on behalf of
Lunel. Oh, my goodness.
I love Lunel. Love her.
She's another one.
Yeah.
And with that potty mouth, you'd never know it.
I live for a good curse word, Miss Moore. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
God ain't done with me yet.
She called me a few days before it was supposed to happen and just gave me some wonderful, encouraging words. And they were it was short, but it was personal. They just once again show you the kind of person she is. I said, well, where did I get these kind of friends from? Wow. You think of it that way, but then you say once again, well, who is she? What kind of a person is she? But I'm getting to see how she is. Hilarious and partier and a good whole person.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that you've given the world so much that what you put out in the world, the universe will give you back in return. And I think that this is just the way of the universe saying that we see you, we appreciate all of the amazing things that you've given to us. So people are now given to you. And I'm so glad to see this happening because as you mentioned, you lost it all, your money, your daughter, fighting your way back. And to see you in this space, I love a great comeback story. And you are a definite testimony of a great comeback story. So talk about coming back. You are going to release, I think they're going to do the remake of The Imitation of Life, and you're going to be in it?
That's quite a ways down the road, but yes, that's going to happen, yes.
So they haven't started any type of production yet?
No, that's not going to be for a while. They have some other things that they have to do first. That'll be down the road. But I will do that. I'll be doing
Oh, but it's a definite?
Yes.
That's also iconic. I know about this classic film, but a lot of, this newer generation, they don't.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that they're going to do a remake of it. But why? Why are they doing this? Do you know?
I think it's in the ethos once again because we want to preserve our heritage as holy servants.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the credits and how the packaging was of the CD and how they had to do it back in the 40s. I think that's when it was first done. It was a white rule society. So somebody had to break through in kind of codes and how you present this story. Mm-hmm. And because the maid, she's the star of it, so you couldn't say that.
Right.
And now all these years later, we haven't lost interest in it, and that's a story that again will be received so well because we've come so far. Now we want to look back and reminisce.
Right.
At our heroism, really.
Mm-hmm. So you can reminisce when you go back to Newark, New Jersey, where you attended high school, and they renamed the street after you. Yeah. How amazing is that? Do you go back to Newark, New Jersey and visit too often?
I do really a lot of community service there for the purpose of keeping some contacts there because that's where I really had family or where my family was mended. And I found music that I was a musician and got my education and grew to be a person that could be in the right place at the right time to get an acting role, or to have such good training that I could run into somebody like Valerie Simpson. And she'd say, here's my number. You read music? Yeah, that's what that all happened in Newark. So I want to keep my contacts there. And so my basic roots there are with church and community service there. Yeah.
Nice. I love to hear when people give back. I think it's everyone's responsibility to give back to this world in some way, big or small. Just give back to your community. We've talked about some of the amazing things that you've contributed to this world, unpack some of your milestones and pivotal moments. But what legacy do you intentionally want to leave this world with?
That's the one. Give back.
To give back.
I mean, from the beginning, you teach your children to do community service, to do volunteer stuff.
I love it.
You don't know. Sometimes in the beginning, you don't even know what your gifts are, but still, your first gift is to be a giver. Give yourself.
Yes. Oh my gosh. What are your hobbies? I just want to know because you look amazing. Every time I see you, you are impeccably dressed. What are your hobbies?
Working out.
Really? You work out?
Every day.
How every day?
Yeah.
See, I feel bad about myself because I'm still trying to find the time. But for things that you really want to do, you find the time. So that's not an excuse.
Well, right now you could call it rehab.
Okay.
You start early enough, it can be a hobby. But then it should be, worked into your lifestyle, the routine, so that maintains your well-being.
True. So besides exercising, what else do you like to do?
I don't really have hobbies yet. I think after I reach my next level here and I get the rest of my team in terms of being an executive producer of some of the projects that I want to do, I want to travel a little bit. Maybe I used to like to swim. I don't have time to do that anymore. I used to want to like to maybe skydive a little bit or something. Try some. I don't know. I want to find out because I haven't had time to think about it.
I get you. Yeah, I'm in this space for the past 2 years of doing things that I would have normally not done. I don't call it the pandemic. I call it the plandemic.
Okay, good.
During the pandemic, unfortunately, I lost my mom. And what it taught me was to cherish each and every single moment, to step outside my comfort zone, to make every single moment count. So that's my advice to you, Miss Moore. Step into that new phase and do things that you would have normally not have done, and just try it out.
I agree. It's a wonderful, wonderful world, and it's to be explored.
Yes.
And time, even if you live to be 120 years old, it flies.
Yes, it sure does. I know every day my daughter's like, I hope this day goes by fast. And I'm at this point where I'm just like, I want to cherish every single second. Every single second. I don't want to think about tomorrow because I want to live in right now and just cherish that, because this second, it's gone. This second right here, it's gone. This second, it's gone. So I just want to make it count.
Sometimes I think, oh my God, I'm falling asleep, but I want to stay awake just a little bit longer. I love this story.
I go through that every night too. Every night I'm like, go to bed, Sanya.
Okay. You gotta go to sleep because you gotta get up and be ready for tomorrow. But
yes.
I'm gonna finish today yet.
Yes. So, Miss Moore, thank you so much for this conversation. I am so full. I am so honored. You gave me some next steps to think about, and I'm definitely going to tap into your conversation and do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to take your advice too. When I get some moments now, I'm going to make on my agenda, Melba, what would you like to do for a hobby when you get a chance? Don't wait, because those moments to plan are gone too.
Yeah, I went snorkeling for the first time in St. Thomas.
I like to do that. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
It was scary, but I challenged myself to just, and I can't even swim. But I said, I got to try it, because I would hate to, if something were to happen to me and I can no longer walk or talk, to say I missed that opportunity to do something new.
And you just reminded me, I used to snorkel. Let me go back and do some things I used to do.
Yeah, because you look good, Melba. You look good.
I gotta let somebody see me.
You look good. You really, really do. But once again, continued blessings, Miss Moore. Thank you for blessing my show. And I'll stay in touch and continue following you on social media.
Please do.
Take care, love. Bye-bye. OMG. So, the iconic, the legendary Miss Melba Moore, just talking about things, her life, losing it all, the comeback story, the husband, the ex-husband who forged the divorce papers. She lost her daughter, but then her 33rd album, the daughter led the new album and allowed Miss Moore to step into a new space. Her social capital of iconic figures in history such as Freddie Jackson, Diana Ross, the Queen, Valerie Simpson, who's also been on the show, Oprah Winfrey, Mary J. Blige, Clifton Davis, Pastor Shirley Caesar. Who else did she name? Who didn't she name? Frank Sinatra. When you are surrounded by greatness, there is no other excuse but to be great. Hence, Miss Melba Moore. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. Make sure that you share this conversation with your friends, your family. If you're older, find people that are younger than you and share this conversation with them too. We can't figure out where we're going if we can't understand where we come from. And when she mentioned that our experience is sort of like a grassroots, we are enough. We come from struggle. And over the years, over the decades, we have kept one foot in front of the other to navigate through the struggles to come out successful on the other side. We have it in us. So let this conversation be a reminder that you have everything that you need already in you to be successful. This has been another amazing edition of Sanya on Air. Make sure you subscribe. Smooches out.